Hello and welcome. Today we're going to talk about something that's really shaking up the world of education, the incredible power of networks.
All right, let's jump right in with this quote from C. Azorn. He says, "The 21st century is the age of networks." I mean, think about that. It's like he's saying they're becoming the very nervous system of our entire society. And you know what? Education is absolutely no exception.
So here's our game plan for this explainer. We'll start with what these networks even are, then dig into why they're such a big deal right now. We'll see them in action online, look at what makes a really strong one, and finally, we'll ask the big question, is this the future?
Okay, first things first. What are we even talking about when we say educational networks? Let's get to the bottom of it.
At its very core, an educational network is, well, it's a structure of relationships. It's all about connecting people and organizations to create these pathways so that information, resources, and amazing new ideas can flow freely, all with the goal of making education better.
Now, this is what's really cool. Who's in these networks? Well, it's not just for teachers. We're talking about everybody. You've got educators, parents, students, researchers, even government and community leaders. It's the whole shebang, a real mix of people who all have a stake in the game.
So we know what they are, but why do they matter so much right now? I mean, this isn't just a trendy idea anymore. For many, it's become an absolute necessity.
You know, networks have been a big deal in other fields for ages, but in education, it's a newer story. Just look at this timeline. Back in 2010, researchers were saying networking was new to the fore. Fast forward to 2014, and the idea was gaining momentum. But then, 2020 happened. The pandemic was a total game changer, causing this massive step change in how quickly networks were adopted.
And it totally makes sense why they're catching on like wildfire. The benefits are huge. We're talking about better learning outcomes for students, using resources way more efficiently, and sparking some serious innovation. It's not just about one school, it's about lifting up the entire system.
So yeah, that pandemic moment was absolutely pivotal. It basically forced everyone's hand. Schools had to shift, and fast, to using more tech and learning from each other. Suddenly, networks weren't just a nice to have, they were essential for survival and for coming up with new solutions on the fly.
All right, let's see how this all plays out in the real world. How exactly does e-learning bring this kind of collaboration to life? Let's take a look.
In the digital world, these networks take on all sorts of forms. You've got personal learning networks, or PLNs, where teachers can kind of build their own professional development. Then there are online communities of practice. These are great for getting help with a tricky classroom problem. We've also got open educational practices for sharing resources, and even things like virtual exchange, where you can connect your students with another class halfway across the world. Pretty amazing, right?
But here's the thing, and it's a really important point. Not everyone approaches this stuff the same way. You have teacher A who's like, let's go, I'm diving right in, and is excited to learn from their students. Then you have teacher B who says, oh, okay, I learned a lot, but I really would have preferred a clearer, stricter framework. This really highlights a key challenge. A good network has to be flexible enough to support both of these people.
Let's zoom in on one of the most popular types, the community of practice, or COP. What makes these so great is that they're usually informal. They're all about learning by doing. People with a shared interest just get together and figure things out. And the best part? No pressure. You can participate as much or as little as you want.
Okay, so maybe you're thinking, this sounds great. I want to build one. But what does it actually take to make a network strong and successful? Well, there's a blueprint for that. Research shows that the most effective networks all share 5 core characteristics. First, they're member-centered. The people in the network lead the work. They have to be relevant, focusing on real-world problems. They're transformative, meaning they want to make big changes. They've got to have that perfect balance of structure and flexibility. And finally, they're action-oriented. It's all about moving from talk to real, collective action. And to make that action happen, they use a bunch of different strategies. Think of it like a toolbox. Sometimes it's about joining forces, sharing resources, or buying things together. Other times, it's about developing new tools, like building a curriculum. It can be about strengthening professional culture, using data and science to test and improve, or even partnering with researchers to solve tough problems with real evidence.
So let's pull back and look at the big picture here. What is the long-term impact of all this? Are networks fundamentally changing what it even means to be a school?
The biggest takeaway here is this idea of permeability. It's like the walls of the traditional school are becoming more transparent. They're dissolving. The pandemic really just accelerated this.
forcing schools to engage with parents, students, and the whole community in ways that were completely new and transformative.
And that leaves us with this big final question. Are these permeable school boundaries, all powered by networks, is that just the new reality for education? It really makes you think, doesn't it? The answer could very well define the future of learning for all of us.